Which sentence in the paragraph contains an error in its construction and should be revised? Notice there are no underlined sections to this. There are no answer choices that provide particular words that need to be changed or modified. It's a far more open-ended question, which leaves you really to determine not only what the error is, but what type of error it is and where it is. So a little more broad in nature. Let's take a look at how we would do this. Number 1, on the evening of July 13, 2019, so anytime I have the 3 dates together, I separate them by a comma. And this prepositional phrase up front is separated by a comma. It's a dependent phrase separated by the main clause, as always is the case. A major power outage affected the Upper West Side. That is your main clause. Subject, noun, verb. It completes the thought. Of Manhattan in New York City. Nothing seems wrong with this sentence. Sentence 1 looks good. Number 2, leaving approximately 73,000 residents without electricity for 3 hours, lights did not function. Okay, so leaving is a participle, the present participle, making this a participle clause, which is a type of dependent clause up front, separated by commas. So that comma is okay. But we do have a problem here. Every dependent clause acts as a modifier. In this case, it's modifying the word lights. Leaving approximately 73,000 residents without electricity, lights. Lights did not leave residents without electricity. This needs to be moved. It's a misplaced modifier. It should be next to the word it's modifying. We need to correct this sentence. There's really no word to modify in this case. So as I look to find something that's the correct modifier, there is none, which actually makes this what we call a dangling modifier. So I would have to rephrase this entirely. I would say instead something like 73,000 residents were without electricity for 3 long hours, and as a result, lights did not function, refrigerators did not stay cold, and air conditioners did not work. Something like that. This is a dangling modifier. It's incorrect. So it is an error that needs to be corrected or revised. F is going to be the answer for number 2. Sentence 2 needs a correction. Let's just check 3 and 4. Longtime city residents were particularly confused because an eerily similar event had occurred years earlier. Long dash on the exact same day, exclamation. Well, the exclamation just shows emotion. That's okay. Some might be confused by the long dash. Remember, a long dash is a substitute. It's a substitute parenthetical punctuation with commas and parentheses. So if I have a dependent clause that I need to separate by a comma at the end of the sentence, which is the case here, it's extra information, it's non-restrictive, I would put a comma or a long dash. I probably wouldn't put parentheses, but technically that is a possible substitute. So in this case, they just simply substituted the long dash for a comma. This is okay. There is no need to make a correction to sentence 3. Therefore, it cannot be the answer. 4. The famous New York City blackout of 1977, comma, which. So remember the relative pronoun which starts a relative clause or phrase, always dependent, can never stand by itself, which is almost always preceded by a comma, unlike that, which is considered restrictive and almost never takes a comma before it. So remember the which versus that. That's a good clue on whether you need a comma or not before it. So I do need that comma beforehand. Which lasted for 25 hours. That's the parenthetical clause, separated on the other side by a comma as well. Also happened on July 13th, comma, an odd coincidence, to say the least. So this is, again, a dependent clause at the end, which is treated as non-restrictive. It is separated by a comma from the main clause. So that comma looks okay. There doesn't appear to be anything wrong with sentence 4. Quite a few commas in place, but nothing technically wrong with this sentence. The correct answer for 2 is F.